Welcome to this week's featured game from the Tournament of Doom. I'm Senior Doom, and joining me, as always, is the ever-amazing Pokemi, who is on this side, not my other side. Pokemi, why don't you line up tonight's today's featured matchup?
Of course. So we are going to see Regis versus Lugia V-Star. We're going to be watching it from the Regis point of view. A very interesting list in terms of kind of a more turbo version that we saw at Orlando Regionals get played versus a pretty standard Lugia. In terms of the matchup, it's pretty 50-50, I feel like, depending on who has teched what and who hits what first. But you'll just have to watch and find out.
With that, let's go ahead and jump right into the game. Now, for this matchup, we're going to see a lot of cards maybe you haven't seen before played in a Regi. One of those cards is Battle VIP Pass. Now, Emmy, what do you think about Battle VIP Pass being in Regigigas as we see it in the opening hand?
I think it's really interesting. We saw it get played by a player at Orlando Regionals. I know that there was something not fun that happened to him on stream, but definitely really interesting to see because he had accidentally submitted the wrong Regieleki, so they kind of had to stop the match. But I don't know. It makes sense to kind of make it very turbo. You've got Quick Ball, you've got Battle VIP Pass. Try to get maybe a turn 1 knockout. I don't know. What do you think, Doom?
I think getting that turn 1 knockout becomes a lot easier with the Battle Pass, but you also still want to discard a lot of energy, which this list also plays Pokestop, which allows them to just get rid of everything.
For sure. And we're already seeing one of those energy cards hit the discard pile with that twin energy there. Gonna take a look here through the prizes. I don't notice anything too crazy getting prized here.
Nothing on this end. It looks like he has every Regi he needs. And we could see a possibility of a Regigigas come in and take a KO on this Dunsparce, which is going to help the Regi player out tremendously. Because that's going to make that Lugia a prime target.
For sure. And we do see that Pokestop here. That Marnie is being really kind to us. We're going to have some backup ones. And an Aurora Energy hits the discard pile there.
We should be able to see here the Ancient Wisdom, get those cards.
Holy mackerel, that was fantastic.
And then on top of it, notice that Hunter did not attach the Choice Belt to the Regieleki. The reason you want to hold on to that is because you only hit 240 with weakness. But with the belt, you hit 300.
Right.
But, you keep saying but it's the truth. Lost Vacuum is in the Lugia list. Lost Vacuum is a staple of Lugia list.
Right.
Put that out there, lose it. Okay, there goes your one-hit KO.
Right. And that is something that we've seen a lot of Lugia players kind of adapting to different types of tech cards in the format. So when you have matchups like Arc Duraludon, where their only win con sometimes is getting rid of that big Parasol and using that amazing rare Yveltal, that doesn't necessarily only have to be that reason for the Lost Vacuum. That could really help us here get rid of that. So, no, definitely good to hang on to it. Especially knowing Lugia, they sometimes play some Marnies, but don't normally play a ton of hand disruption.
Yeah, they like to play 1 to 2, usually. This one plays 2. They prefer more stuff like Professor's Research and Serena. Stuff that can get those let's call them, I still like to call them ancient chickens, into the discard.
For sure.
We will see that big Regigigas head to the bench, as he doesn't even need to add the Choice Belt here. We should see the Terra Spark for an easy KO.
Yeah, this is fantastic, and we have plenty of cards in hand right now. We're going to take out that Lugia V, already 3 prize cards ahead, and grabbing a gift energy off of the prizes. We have quite a large hand, though, so I don't think that would help us too much. Definitely a card that Regi players like to use to kind of get set up. As long as they can get one in the discard pile, they would be able to draw some extra cards and really have a really good setup on their board.
So now we do see the Manaphy come down. That's going to limit the damage the Terra Spark can do to the bench. But their hand with 2 cards probably feels very bad from their side. We don't get to see their hand. That's just the downfall of what we have. But do you... okay, they have a Marnie. I was
Okay.
wondering if do you Pokestop here? Hope you see those chickens hit the discard, and you somehow get a Lugia V Star in the same hand.
Yeah, it's tough though because so we do see the Lugia V Star come out. I don't know how many is he running Doom,
He
but
is running a 3/3 line.
okay, so 3/3 is okay, but I know a lot of players have kind of been skimping on that V Star, only running two, either a 4-2 line or a 3-2 line. Because obviously you kind of want to use other attackers, right? It's kind of this toolbox. So at least we're okay there. Does look like we're gonna see the Stoutland come down. That Stoutland, if it had all four powerful colorless energy on it, would be able to take two prizes on this Regieleki in the active. It is the only one on the board right now that only has 120 HP.
And sometimes with that is what you have to do, but you do run into the issue that the poor doggo is very weak to that Regirock.
Right, it is very, and that is very true. However, Dunsparce has hit that discard pile, and this Lugia is also going to be very weak. Because we definitely, do we only run one of this Regieleki?
Yes, we run one of that, and then we run one of the other Regieleki.
Okay.
What's surprisingly here, and this is a play I saw Grat Manley talk about, he could have brought back the Dunsparce and went one Archeops. A little bit risky, but it could stall out and give them a better chance.
Oh, you're right. I do remember reading that earlier today. It's tough though because when you're trying to set up these attackers, only having one Archeops, I don't know, it's tough.
It's a decision you have to make. And you don't see a lot of Lugia players play Rod, if any. I can't even think on the top of my head of any single one that does.
Yeah.
You just end up going, you know what? I'll have to do what I can. 2 researches reprised.
Oof, just get that. Battle VIP pass. So, kind of the pros and cons of that card is it's so powerful, gonna really help us set up so quickly. But yeah, it's not good right now.
Slow down just a little bit. Just a tad bit. But the Blizzard Bind is going to prevent the V from attacking, and they don't have anything else set up as an attacker. He could hard retreat. It's a very strong possibility. He has the energy acceleration, but the Lugia player is going to start losing more and more energy because of that.
Right, and that is a really good way to kind of force that player to discard some energy at the same time as kind of spread some damage around. Does look like we're going to be attaching some energy to the Archeops, though. Interesting here, maybe going to use it as an attacker. 2 Aurora energies onto that Archeops, so I feel like we definitely won't be seeing too many fun attackers like Amazing Rare Raikou or maybe a Luminion come into play anytime soon.
Yeah, I agree with that. Which we do have an interesting visual bug real quick, that parts of Hunty's hand are not rendering. So we are playing PTCGO, not PTCG Live. But sometimes with streaming that happens, and you know what? I don't know what else he has, but it's just what it is.
Oh my god, I honestly didn't even notice, not to be like not professional for a second, but I totally thought he just had Regirock and Battle VIP Pass in hand.
I believe he does. I think it's actually double rendering the cards.
Oh, you know what? It does look like that. That's so strange. Okay.
But as long as his game functions and he's able to play, I personally I could deal with it. I think others could as well.
For sure. All right, looks like we're going to promote that Regidrago here with that Dragon's Horde ability. We will be able to draw some extra cards. We're only going to draw one here before we think about Marnieing. Actually, this is kind of nice to Marnie both of those to the very bottom of our deck, so we won't be drawing into them hopefully anytime soon.
So he is looking for a replacement to, well, to the Regice.
Right. So yeah, we do have another Regice right away.
Then with the gift energy, we'll be able to go ahead and hopefully be able to get a couple more cards. And then on top of it, you've got the professors.
Oh, and Pokestop for all 3 item cards. Those choice belts will not be item cards though in a couple months. But I don't think Reggie's kind of survives rotation otherwise, anyways.
Correct. I think Reggie. We're in the last hurrahs of Reggie.
For sure. And it's great to be seeing it do really well and also kind of be innovated again with these battle VIP passes and heavy counts of Pokestop to churn through the deck very fast.
I feel like personally, Reggie has some of the best matchups against Lugia, but it has some bad matchups against other decks.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Like, Lugia can trade better with Lost Box because it plays Stoutland. Stoutland can go ahead and take 2 prizes. Maybe you get Raikou to take 2 prizes, and then you maybe have to take 2 singles, or you get it all. But then you come up against Reggie, and there's no guaranteed way of taking 2 prizes every, or at least 4 of those prizes, and so it becomes a little bit more difficult. A player can do it, and there's probably more strategy to it out there that I haven't read yet. The Reggie matchup is not something you always worry about, considering even in this tournament, I believe Reggie's is one of the more played decks. But when you look at stuff like the late nights or even regionals, it's still it's on a lower level. And
you could be like me and hit 2 of them in a row at San Diego Regionals.
Yeah, and that can happen too. So I think it's a beautiful deck. It's a beautiful deck that can do a lot, and maybe it is underrated.
All right, only going to draw 1 card off of that gift energy. It is a trekking shoes. We've got Professor's Research in hand and our Regidrago ready to go, so we don't even need to go searching for it.
And then one thing that did come up in our chat, Regigigas does take a very hard L to Goodra.
Right.
It just can't deal with Goodra. Especially if it's playing Umbrella.
Yeah.
I think Reggie really benefits from being able to being very versatile on what it can hit for weakness. And Goodra does not get hit with weakness.
Right. Those dragon types not having a weakness, since we don't really have fairy type Pokemon in the TCG anymore. It's definitely really interesting. So, but dragons also kind of being stunted by having very strange energy needs. So Goodra needing a water and a steel and a colorless, and then the other popular one being Duraludon in terms of needing 1 fighting, 2 metal.
Right. Which, imagine if those were all straight water energy.
Right.
That would be horrifying.
Right. Yeah, there's a reason why they've kind of got to balance it, right? But this is tough. Our opponent has to take 3 prize cards. That is not probably going to happen, and we only need to take 2 with 2 very damaged Lugia V-Stars on our opponent's side.
If the Manaphy wasn't in play, you could possibly have seen a targeted bolt play. I thought about it might have been able to hit the active. I'm actually hard real quick. I don't think it can. Specifically the bench. Yes.
I think you're correct, yeah.
Is specifically the bench.
All right, we do see the promotion of that Regidrago here. We already have all the pieces we need to go grab another Regigigas. Running 3 of them, so definitely going to be able to find it here.
From all in there, giant fangs.
And speaking of that dragon with that weird energy necessity, that Regidrago is going to take that final knockout of this game.
With that, Reggie's wins, which against Lugia is usually a pretty, I wouldn't say a foregone conclusion, but it's a pretty good conclusion. So let's go ahead and look at the deck list. Now, one of the things you definitely see already in this deck list that's different from most Reggie lists is the Battle VIP Pass. The Battle VIP Pass is fairly new to Reggie decks. How many have you seen, Emmy, that run Battle VIP Pass?
I have not seen it prior to watching Orlando Regionals on the stream. So I hadn't thought of it before, but it makes a lot of sense. I think we've seen a lot of Reggie's going very heavy in Path to the Peak counts to kind of counter specific decks, but I really like this version. I think it's really interesting.
I do too, and as we saw, it's set up very well turn 1 and had a very good run. especially now that considering it's not even worried about the path to the peak.
Right.
It's now running Pokestop, which even again, that turn 1 increases your odds of getting that VIP pass. But on top of it, discarding some of that energy going to the discard where you want it, you increase the odds with the Pokestop.
Yeah, for sure. No, it's always interesting to have decks that specifically want things in the discard pile, like Lugia V-Star wanting those Archeops in the discard pile. I know you had mentioned at one point in the game, do you Pokestop and try to get those Archeops into the discard pile right now? So yeah, no, this is really interesting.
And we do see a decreased count of Ordinary Rod down from most doing 4 down to 3. It runs a little bit thinner, but sometimes with Regis, that's about all you need.
Yeah, I actually don't hate that too much. I've seen, I think, a couple builds only running 3. I wouldn't run less than 3, I don't think. But yeah, this is a good one. 3 scoop up net as well, so I know we were talking about the Lost Box matchup, being able to scoop up Regis that have got some damage on it due to Sableye or due to Raikou trying to set up some damage. We'll be able to reset that and make that matchup a lot more difficult.
So do you expect we will see way more Regis here in the future?
I'm really curious to see. We were just talking about its last hurrah, so we only have a couple more regionals in this format. I wouldn't be surprised to see people take their beloved Regis to these last events.
I would assume so too. It's still a good card, it's still a good deck, and there's plenty of matchups that are really good for it. And with that, this was this week's featured game of the Tournament of Doom. Hit that like button, subscribe, comment, all that good stuff. I'm Senior Doom. Joining me as always is the ever amazing Pokey Emmy, and we'll hopefully see you next week.